My name's Todd Heisler, and I'm a staff photographer at the New York Times. I've been a staff photographer here for about 10 years, and I've been working as a professional photographer for just over 20 years.
Heisler had taken a flight from Las Vegas, Nevada to get back to New York, where we met to walk around and chat on a slow news day where we had only picked up one assignment, but we talked about the far reaches of the word community.
Well, the concept of community journalism, I don't think of how to explain this. I try to think about where does the concept of community journalism end, and then when does it become something else, or why should it? You know what I mean? So I don't quite know what to consider what is and what isn't community journalism, And
the other option is?
Well, I don't know what the other option is.
Okay.
I guess maybe, when you're doing, breaking news and, you just parachute in and leave and maybe, don't have much of a connection with the community you're covering. But I feel like, that's something we try to overcome every day. And I think that's what I try to do at the New York Times, is to treat everything like community journalism.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always possible because of deadline, but, I always try to build stories around individual voices and, try to keep that foundation that my career was built on. I try to keep that with whatever I do. Get into people's lives and, learn people's names when possible and try to learn as much about the people I'm covering as possible.
The assignment was a simple portrait of a woman whose husband had been killed months ago right outside of their home, but whose case had not been looked into and was still unsolved. We discussed what community journalism means to him and how he tackles stories, like putting a face to a trend in NYC crime that otherwise would not have been heard.
Maybe less big picture reporting. I still do big picture things, but what I really love to do are the small stories that maybe say something about a larger issue. Every story you do, or any major news event, it's, individuals are affected by it. And I feel like some of the best journalism is told through their eyes.
So why do you keep doing it every day? Or every week?
I have no idea what else I would do. I couldn't imagine if I couldn't do this. I have no idea what I would do. I'd probably drive a cab or something. But it's the trying to think of the best way to describe why I do it. To do this job, when I first started, when I did my one and only internship, I was deciding, if this is the path I wanted to take. And I spoke with the young photographer, Lloyd Young, who had just started a staff position at the paper I was interning at. And he sat me down and he said, look, if you want to do this, you have to feel this in your gut. You have to have this pain in your stomach that makes you want to do this. Otherwise, it's not worth it, because you're not going to get paid a lot. It's long hours, yada, yada, yada. But he said, if you don't feel it in your gut, don't take this path. You won't be able to do it. And I sat there, and in that moment I thought, I have this feeling in my gut. This is what I have to do. Have something to say, and I'm going to say it. And, he was right. It was long hours, not a lot of pay, but I was still able to make a living doing it. And I feel like, I was able to give voice to things that might not I was able to give voice to stories that, otherwise wouldn't be told. And that's what drives me day to day. It's like that story of the woman we met yesterday. How many people like her are just quietly grieving, who want closure in their lives. And so, at some point our lives intersect, and this responsibility is on me to amplify her voice. On days when I'm tired or burnt out, what drives me is this responsibility I have to do this. I have a great gift to be able to make pictures for a living, an even greater gift to be able to make pictures for a living at a place like the New York Times. So, when you're tired and, you've taken long flights and you're somewhere that you might not want to be, you always have to keep that in the back of your head, that there's a big responsibility that you have to be there. So, you got to do it. You got to keep going forward.